Joining us now, Ashlee Stephenson, Republican strategist, president of AxAdvocacy. You find her at Ashlee W. Rich on the X. Ashlee, welcome. Thanks for being here today.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for having me.
So, talk about the president. Wet sand, blowing him to smithereens, and all what we just heard from President Trump.
Look, Tim, I really think that this is a reset moment. You know, the polling numbers have shown a mixed bag on Americans, how they approve or think about Iran overall. We saw last week in the Harvard-Harris poll really some interesting results. 51% supported the airstrike, 76% the U.S. believe the U.S. is winning the war. I think that this is a moment to, number one, celebrate the greatest military in the world, beyond a reasonable doubt. Really an amazing story over the weekend, and thank God these men were saved. And number two, this is a chance for the president to communicate very clearly to the American public, specifically midterm voters, about the strength of the American military, that we are winning the mission, and that he's doing something that was necessary and had to be taken care of, as we've been at war roughly, nearly 50 years with Iran. So I think it's a good moment for the president, and it's certainly an amazing moment for the American military.
How should the Republicans who are running for re-election try to approach this? What do they need to be saying to their potential supporters and voters for the upcoming midterms?
Well, if I'm in a swing seat, Tim, especially in this moment, as we will have several days, if not a few weeks, talking about this unbelievable moment where we've saved these men after they were shot down late last week. This is neither Republican nor Democrat. This is a chance to communicate with those swing voters or those that maybe would be leaning one way or the other, to just say, look, you can't point the finger at the American military and not say that this is the greatest military in the entire world, and take it as a victory lap for the country. So I truly do think it's a reset moment for everybody who has to communicate on the war, to be able to point to what was, with beyond a reasonable doubt, a big win over the last couple of days, and to, of course, talk about the CIA and everything else. And guess who's in charge? The commander-in-chief. So ultimately, it could be a win for Republicans, I think, if communicated properly.
Okay, so then we go beyond that to, oh man, I'm so happy, I'm so glad, yeah, USA, go, go, go. And then I look at what I was paying for gas 3 weeks ago, like, $2.85, and now I'm paying $4.14 a gallon when I go to the pump. And I'm like, this was really wonderful, but, so how do you deal with that?
Yeah, Tim, as you know, the spin zone gets a little bit harder at that point. I think you get a couple of good days, or like I said, maybe a week or two out of positive press from this moment, but we have to get back to the issues of pricing and affordability, and this White House certainly knows it. That's why, and I suspect we'll go here, you see a little bit of conflicting messaging from last week to this week on the Strait, and whether it needs to be reopened or not, and how much energy and oil and gas that the United States has, as the president remarked last week, and wants other countries to buy. So look, without a doubt, and we've got Memorial Day, 6 weeks away at this point, when people are traveling all across the country, presumably quite often by car. Republicans know that gas prices need to get under control, and the longer this seeps into the summer, the 4th of July, Labor Day, in the polling community, we always track gasoline prices. It starts to get tougher as we head toward those November elections.
Ashlee Stephenson with us. Ashlee, I wanted to ask a general question about the election. It seems to me that the argument we're hearing, both on the Republican and Democratic side, is the status quo isn't working, whether it has to do with age, whether it has to do with, when Democrats especially, attacking the people who are in power, saying they're not getting the job done, they're not fighting enough. In the case of Republicans, sometimes they're not doing enough to support President Trump, or conversely, and not quite so often, saying they're supporting him too much. But there's still some semblance of the age argument. But I'll think specifically of the Senate race in Texas, John Cornyn and Ken Paxton, who they're trying to upset, take out the status quo. Is there a sense right now that people feel they're being underserved by what's happening in Congress in D.C.?
I think, Tim, people have felt this way for a long time. If you go back 11 of the last 13 election cycles, it takes us all the way to the year 2000, there's been a change of who's in charge of the White House, the U.S. Senate, or the U.S. House of Representatives. So we're living in this political ping pong world where it's going back and forth and back and forth. And here's what I'm looking for. If Democrats are lining up to potentially take back the House and, of course, making a run for the U.S. Senate, what is the message that they're going to articulate that they will do something better than they would have under the Biden presidency. I haven't heard it yet. And I think that the onus is on Republicans to remind voters of that there's a reason why President Trump won, obviously, the Electoral College and the popular vote just nearly 2 years ago by the time we get to the midterms. Who has the actual solutions to lower prices and cool inflation and that sort of thing? And I don't think we're hearing a message from the Democratic Party yet besides they're not getting the job done. And quite frankly, I don't think that that's good enough for anybody, Tim. I think we need a real results-focused Congress and to get things moving again the way they should be.
Oh, we'll see how it turns out. Ashlee, thanks for hanging on and thanks for joining us on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tim.
Ashlee, Rich Stephenson, Republican strategist, president of AxAdvocacy. Some thoughts on the president's remarks, as well as where we stand now as we sit here 211 days away from the midterm elections. You will find her at ASHLEEWRICH, at Ashlee W. Rich.